Well, hello ham radio chums, Steve G3ZPS here with another unusual radio in my workshop today. This is a Yaesu ft-70G, a Yaesu Fox Tango 70 Golf. This radio was made in the 80s, mid to late 80s by Yaesu, and was marketed for commercial and military users. It's not ruggedized to the same standard as your Regal Syncals or your PRCs or your Hughes, Harris or Kodan or any of the other radios stretching back to the 70s, which were pretty heavyweights in terms of being approved for military use. This really doesn't quite fall into that category. It's an HF SSB transceiver, 10 watts output. It has got AM but no AM filter, CW but no CW filter, so not particularly suitable for ham radio QRP operations, but good for SSB. The frequency selected all the way from 2 to 30 megs by these up-down switches, which have a resolution of 100 hertz, so 100 hertz right the way up to tens of megahertz, and here it's on 40 meters. So scanning a band to look for SSB contacts on the ham bands is a bit interesting, and nowhere near as easy as twiddling a VFO. There's no menus or nothing complicated on this radio whatsoever. A clarifier, AF gain, a squelch, which only really works on the highest bands where there's no noise, modes, and just a few switches. The accessories that you could buy with this radio included a tuner, which would go on the top, which I haven't got, a selection of antennas that cover the low part of the HF spectrum and the higher part, like tripods and verticals and stuff like that, a pack, like a rucksack, which the whole thing could go on the back of a user. This has got when I bought this radio, it came with this quite rare battery charger and AC power supply, and they're the only two items that I've got, although I have got the speaker microphone, which is fairly chunky, to push the PTT. Searching around on the web, there's not a great deal of information about these radios. Apparently they were used by the Japanese army, the Indian army, and most amusingly, if you believe some of the stuff on the internet, by the US-backed Contra rebels in Nicaragua. I guess they used them because they would have been a lot cheaper than any American military radios, although I thought the Americans were funding the rebels. So whether it's true or not, I don't know. I was amused to find that this radio is mentioned in a document written by no lesser institution than the Royal Geographical Society here in London on polar expeditions and what you might need if you go on a polar expedition. And surprisingly, in their 2003 document, and probably their earlier ones as well, on how to run your polar expedition, they mentioned that you should take HF communications with you, and this is one of the radios you perhaps should use. Some of the other radios they mentioned look really rugged for polar environments, but they do mention this little radio. It appeared on the ham radio market, certainly in the UK, to the best of my knowledge, in the late 80s, in 1989. It was advertised in one or two ham radio magazines by one of the big suppliers as being available for radio hams because they were part of a failed commercial order. No idea what that meant. They were advertised for £400. There was an F model of this radio which had just preset channels, but it was really pretty much the same. And I think in Japan there may have been a higher power one, but I've never seen one. The accessories are all really, really rare, and when they pop up, I think they're bought up immediately. There should be a clip-on battery pack at the back of this radio, but they never come up, and I've never seen one. So I'm running this radio here in the workshop. I could run it on the power supply, but today it's running off of a battery. So that's pretty much it. I do know of a couple of others. One of my friends has got 2 of these in the UK, but apart from that, when I use them on the air, I think I'm probably the only person using one of these ft-70Gs. So there you go, quite an unusual radio, and you won't see many of them. Thanks very much. See you again soon. Golf 3 Zulu Papa Sugar G3 ZPS. Golf 3 Zulu Papa Sugar, calling and listening.
Golf 3 Zulu Papa Sugar, Golf 0 Radio Golf United. Yes, okay, Steve. G3ZPS G0RGU. Quite a good copy, actually. You're about 10 over 9. The band is very noisy, but your audio from that 10-watt radio is definitely doing a good job. Name here is John, Juliet Oscar, Hotel November, and I'm near Mansfield,